And I was out of context. I was there watching Emma, and so like, hi, Kim. He goes, Dr. Brown. 601. Hi. Kindergarten kids see my teacher in Hey, Dan.
Dan, long time no see.
There you go.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the October 5th meeting of the Auburn School Committee. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's begin with introductions down to my right, please.
Dan Poisson, Ward 5.
Ryan Belknap, Ward 4.
Pam Hart, Ward 2.
Karen Matthew, Ward 3.
Connie Brown, Superintendent.
Pat Gaudier at large.
Pam Albert at large.
Abigail Fauché, Student Representative.
Mark Conrad, Business Manager.
Sue Doris, Assistant Superintendent.
All right, and Clarissa has, from Ward 1, has an excused absence this evening. All right, first item on the agenda is a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A for the purpose of employment of officials, appointees, and employees. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Have a
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All those in favor? All right, the board is now in executive session. School committee members, we will be exiting out this way and into the conference room, please. We will be back in just a few minutes, folks.
So moved.
Thank you, Pam. Can I have a second? Thank you, Brian. All those in favor? All right, we have now re-entered regular session. Thank you, everyone. Hope we kept that brief enough. All right, can I enter, next item on the agenda is the approval of tonight's consent agenda, along with the minutes of 9:21. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Pat. Thank you, Brian. Questions, comments on that one?
I have one question.
Sure.
On last meeting's minutes, I just wanted to make sure that the word excused applied to me and wasn't a separate, the way it's listed there is a little confusing. It was unclear if that's a separate category.
Hold on.
It's minor, but,
Bring us to where you are.
so, on the September 21st minutes, it
Okay,
says
so-
members absent, lists me, and then it has excused separately, like way off
That
to the
is you.
side. Is that?
You're excused.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, I'll open it up to public participation. If there's anyone here from the public who would like to come speak to the school committee. All right, closing public participation. Moving on to the highlight of the evening, I would say. We are here this evening to kick off the fundraising for the new Edward Little High School. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Pam, who is the chair of the fundraising committee. So she's going to take a moment to come around this way.
You guys would like the class of 1951
Yes,
would like to
the
come
class
up?
of 1951, we would invite you to come on up here and face on that way. Come right on through here, please. Right here. And we'll sort of have you put your backs right up against. Yes, put your back right up against this part here, and then face right on out. There you. How are you? I'm fine, and you? Nice to see you. So nice to see you.
Okay. All right. So I would just like to say a little bit about these phenomenal people right here. The class of 1951 had the foresight many years ago to raise money to help many future Edward Little graduates while honoring a man who they revered. Through their generosity, many Edward Little students benefited from their diligence and fiscal stewardship. They have been at the forefront in helping students pursue their dreams of college by providing them a generous scholarship named for a gentleman who meant the world to them. Mr. Donald Gay was the supervisor of music for the Auburn school system, and during his time directing both the Edward Little High School Band and the chorus, these organizations grew and eventually improved to be among the most prestigious high school bands and choruses in New England. To honor his great accomplishments in the music programs, the Edward Little class of 1951 established a fine arts scholarship in his name in 2001. Now they've decided to generously donate to the new Edward Little School by purchasing the naming rights to the Edward Little High School Performing Arts Center complex in the name of Mr. Donald M. Gay. Without further ado, we'll begin with the check presentation. This took some work, but generously we were able to do this. All hold that.
Yeah, get in there.
We want to thank you from the bottoms of our hearts for doing this. This is a very generous donation. You are all a remarkable group of people. My daughter, in all transparency, my daughter was the beneficiary of one of your scholarships, and it made a huge difference. And since then, I've always thought the world of you for what you've done and how selfless you have been in helping others and this. So thank you. And I'm so glad that we are able to name the Performing Arts Center after Mr. Donald.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Would anybody like to say anything?
I would just like to say that this is a win-win situation all the way around. It's a win situation for the family of Mr. Gay. It's a win-win for the class of 1951, because we're not going to be around for a great deal longer. It's a great deal for the school department, and it's also a great deal for the city of Auburn, I think, because so many communities would end up with a bank or an insurance company as the name. And the city of Auburn is going to have their performing arts center in the name of a gifted, wonderful, loved teacher.
I would just say that Mr. Gay, at one point said, boy, if I'd known you guys were going to do this for me, I never would have left and gone on to the next job. But it was a great, great feeling, and it was a heavy weight we had back then when we were talking about what we make for a class gift. And, you know, the idea of trying to raise a principle that would allow us to do what we've done, I mean, some of them were pretty skeptical, but we got a unanimous vote, and it all happened. And I know in my life, it's one of the most wonderful things to have happened. Thank the school committee very much.
I saw that, but then they all look remarkably spry. So I think,
Well, you've got to figure they were 18 in 1951. Born in 1933.
yeah, well, I figured they're about 30 years older than I am, and I'm 60. So, but they look quite young.
Yeah.
Maybe late 80s.
Well, that's probably what they are. When I said they're so excited, the expressions on their faces. I love it.
It is. What a nice thing.
Lovely, lovely thing.
All right. Next presentation this evening is the, I'm just going to take a moment too to thank Pam for coordinating as the chair of the fundraising committee, what you have, the tremendous amount of effort that you have put into coordinating this along with Pat and everyone else on that fundraising committee. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's very appreciated.
You're very welcome. And can I just say one thing?
Sure.
We're going to be talking about school spirit and what the high school is doing with the freshman class and trying to, show them what being a Red Eddie is. And these people, I'm going to start, of course, but these people here, the class of 1951, have shown exactly what it means to be a Red Eddie. And the generosity that they have shown throughout the years is something that we can all look up to. So I just had to say that. Sorry.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right, ninth grade EL presentation by the freshman restorative practices team. Come on up,
So
folks.
come on up.
Good luck following that.
I know.
Actually, Pam, that's why we're doing it, because there's a need for that, and that's what to bring back to.
Yeah. And kudos to you for doing that.
Absolutely.
So before you get started, maybe you could introduce yourself so the committee knows who everybody is.
Sorry, absolutely. My name is Aaron Lewis. I'm the JMG specialist at Edward High School, also a member of the Restorative Justice Committee and a freshman mentor homeroom teacher.
Welcome.
Corey Jameson, I'm the social worker at Yale.
Todd Cretion, Spanish teacher, member of the Restorative Justice Committee.
I'm Angela Peck. I'm a special education teacher and member of the Restorative Justice team.
Melissa Marjonas, I'm an English teacher and a member of the Restorative Justice team and also a freshman mentor.
Thank you.
Just some quick background on how this came to be. Several staff members attended an intensive restorative justice training last school year that kind of provided the foundation and knowledge for them to begin what is now the Restorative Justice Committee at Edward Little. And through that work, using restorative justice as an overarching philosophy, that staff decided, based on the need that we were seeing at our school, we decided to create over the summer a homeroom mentor program aimed at assisting in creating a positive, healthy culture at Edward Little that really facilitates community as well as student voice. The way it's set up is for students to have the utmost voice possible. And kind of I know myself and Mr. Cretion started the same year, and one thing that we were really taken with in starting at Edward Little is there's this staff and really sense of almost family and community at Edward Little, within the staff. And we've faced and overcome a lot of challenges and changes in the past few years, and we're really seeing a need to instill that back into the student body of the school. It's very palpable within the staff, but we're trying to come up with a way to how can we bring this back to the students. So we set up the freshman homeroom. We decided that would be the best facilitation of this process. So again, being an Eddie to us has always meant being a part of a strong community, and we wanted the students to examine what really makes an Eddie, and more importantly, what makes an Eddie part of the community. Students see themselves as part of something bigger. They're more apt to believe in that community and engage within it. So the idea is that students have a better understanding of what makes community. They have a hand in building rather than being told that they were part of one. And therefore, they'll be more apt to uphold the values that we have as a school and a community. So I think that's a big part of this. Rather than us sitting students down and saying, hey, you're at Edward Little, you're an Eddie, you are part of a community. They're going to have a hand in defining and building a space where they feel valued, included, and heard. So they'll know that they're a part of that community because they had a hand in creating it. And again, if they believe in and value that, then they're more apt to uphold what we're trying to do as a school community. So essentially what we started with is the idea of what makes a community. Well, as the Restorative Justice Committee, we decided, this is kind of the foundation of the things that we want to bring back and instill. So everyone being an equal member and everyone matters. We want students to believe that. We want everyone to feel welcome, safe, and valued at Edward Little High School. We want them to know that when things get tough, they're not alone. Members of your community are here for you. And as Eddies, we are part of a greater community, our families, friends, neighbors, classmates, teachers, and parents. So ideally, the work that we're doing and building will start to kind of seep out and past the walls of high school. And that, you gave a good example with the class of 1951. We want that to be like what we have to look forward to. And I think, so what it looks like is every Tuesday, the 16 freshman homerooms meet during flex period and engage in the mentor program, exploring a different topic each week. The topics range from more community-minded topics like building social contracts, exploring the roles they play as a community, to more individual topics like self-awareness, regulation, responsible decision-making, stress management, because as an individual, the topics influence the bigger picture community topics as well. All sessions are run in the restorative circle format to provide a space for all students to have a voice and participate in discussions. So essentially, all students, the rooms are set up so that they're sitting in a circle facing each other. One student, the expectations that we have within the circle is that one person is talking at a time. You cannot talk unless you have the talking piece. And you must engage within the discussion to the extent that at the bare minimum, you're saying pass. You take the talking piece and you're saying pass. And we've integrated, we've brought back the Upperclassmen mentor program through the Student Leadership Council at Edward Little. So each homeroom has upperclassmen students who are assigned as student mentors. Because really that helps facilitate buy-in. It always helps when you have students talking to students, and it just provides those freshmen with someone that they know they can go to that's not a staff member. And that's really just, you know, the basic of what we're doing. We know that there's no one solution to these things, but this is certainly a step in the right direction, and it's something that we're hoping over time, we're trying to this year manage expectations in a way that, you know, we're looking to the future. What can this do in 3 to 4 years, not what can this do in 3 to 4 months? And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
You don't have any questions? Seeing none, which is always, don't take that as a negative thing. I always see that as a good thing. It means you explained it really well, and I think we have a pretty good understanding. Except Pam might have a little tangle. Sorry, Pam, just blew my theory right out of the water.
I guess my question would just be, how is it going so far, and are you seeing engagement from the freshmen in these flex periods?
Yeah, so we have multiple freshmen. I'd like to take a moment to say something, and then I'll let them hop in if they have a freshman homeroom as well. With the restorative, yeah, I think it's going a little bit actually better than we had initially anticipated. We do have engagement. For the most part, we have a running document. We've been getting fairly positive feedback. It can be a little awkward at first where students are in this situation where they might not have been in before. They all have to participate and talk, and they're all facing in the circle. Cell phones are away, so they have to be fully engaged. So it can be a little awkward at first, but I think, you know, now that we're weeks into the process, that they understand that this is the expectation, and they have been engaging with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that I really feel like my freshmen are on their way to becoming friends. And I think over the next 4 years together, and we say that, you know, we're here for 4 years. We just came up the past 2 weeks, a code of cooperation, and what are we going to do if we don't get it along, if the teasing gets a little too much, and we decide, you know, we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. So I hear from students that I know wouldn't have talked otherwise unless they said pass, and then when we went back to them, then they talked, you know, and that's that engagement, and that's me looking at it. You know, I've been here for 26 years. I've had homerooms before where some students didn't even know the names of the students, and I don't know how that's possible, but everybody knows each other's names, and they're smiling, and they're actively engaging in the morning, except when somebody says, hey, can we be quiet, because I want to finish some work, you know, and then that's a respectful thing, like they respectfully handled that, but they're talking, and I don't think they would have talked before if we hadn't started this process. That's what I'm seeing anyway in mine.
Wonderful. All right. Any other questions, or would anyone else like to share how it's going? I don't want to. It's okay to say no, thank you. It's okay to wait. I don't have a talking stick. It's okay to say pass. All right. Thank you so much for coming tonight and giving us a great explanation of the work. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a school committee student rep report, but we have none this evening as most of our student reps are actually at EL getting ready for a big day tomorrow over there. All right, so moving on, superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Matthew. The first item under my agenda is NWEA testing, and I'm going to turn to Dr. Doris to give you an update on what we are currently involved in, and then a little bit about the through-year testing. So if you would, Sue, just share those two items.
Okay, we are currently administering the NWEA, so our fall testing is underway. Some of our schools started this week, and some will start next week, and this is going to assess students in reading and math, and this involves kindergarten through 11th grade. And again, our testing window is going to go through the end of October, and we are excited to review the results when they come in to see how our students are doing. This year, there is a change in the state assessment. We're moving to a through-year assessment, so we will be giving an assessment in the spring, but it will be a different assessment than the one that we're giving right now in the fall. And we'll have some more information for you coming, probably in February, about the details of that assessment. It's going to be a mix of the current assessment and also some static items that are going to assess how well our students are doing on specific state standards. So more information to come.
So can I just ask to clarify, are we doing NWA testing fall, winter, spring, and then another Maine state assessment testing in the spring?
No, we're going to do a fall assessment and potentially a winter assessment with NWEA.
Okay.
And then the spring assessment is going to be a different assessment. It's going to be a combination of what we've been doing, which is the NWEA, and also some new items that are going to be specifically measuring student progress on state standards.
Okay. Are we doing all three parts? Are we doing reading, math, and are we also doing is it the language piece?
We're not doing the language piece this year. We're just going to be doing reading and math.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I do.
Yeah.
So this will be the second year that we've used the NWEA, right? So now we'll be able to really look at the data as apples and apples, as opposed to the past years where we've had different tests as well.
We'll be able to look at fall to fall, and then in the spring it's going to be different. So it won't be a test that we can use for comparison. And we won't actually get the results of the spring testing until probably the next fall.
So how is that helpful?
We're going to give you the phone number for the Department of Education and in Augusta, and you can ask them that wonderful question.
Well, it's going to give us some information to look at. So we're going to be able to use some of that to tell us how well students are doing and to inform instruction. In terms of looking at our progress over time, that's going to be a little challenging.
Because the NWEA, you can get your results in real time, and you're able to, you're able to use that data to help the students in real time. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And there will still be a component of that in the spring, but we don't know enough about the makeup of the test yet to be able to say how helpful it's going to be.
Okay, thank you.
And this is a state mandated spring Maine test.
Yes, this is a state mandated spring test.
Okay, this is not something you just decided. That was your question? Okay.
So Dr. Doris, should we decide not to participate, what would be the consequence?
The consequence would be that we would lose our federal funding, so it's something that we want to participate in. We have about $1.5 million in federal funds that come our way, support our Title I programming and Title II, Title III, and Title IV. And one of the requirements to receive that funding is that we participate in the state testing. And our goal with that is a 95% participation rate.
Just a little bit of clarification, if I could. The state administers the federal money, correct?
That's correct.
So the state's mandating the goals of if you want the federal Title I, IV, and so forth, you must participate in our state testing.
Yes.
In other words, it's not a federal directive, it's a state directive utilizing federal money.
The federal government directs the state in that same way. So they require assessments.
Okay, great questions. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on from testing.
Thank you. So the next item under my agenda is parent-teacher fall and spring conferences. There was a letter that went out to families today. This is the first year in a while. I don't quite want to go to say ever, but certainly in a long while where we have had pre-K to 12 conferences for all of our students. And we are utilizing something called PTC Fast Scheduler. It's easy to use. The principals have sent out information, and essentially a family will get an email and then a link to their child's teachers, and then you can sign up for one of those conferences. There was a letter that I sent out today to families informing them about the conference dates. I also put the spring dates in because we will be doing both fall and spring. And from earlier conversations with the committee, you may recall this was a very important committee goal to improve communications with our families and making sure that we had an opportunity for families to dialogue with their teachers. The other thing that I would like to mention as part of this is that I asked Principal Lanier this year if we could send out 8 times grades and attendance to families. And I realize that you can get, as a parent, Power School, an application, but we've also learned that not all of our families have been able to access that, and that we want to make sure that they get information about how their child is doing and if their child is coming to school at least 8 times a year. And so the first one went out on September 30, and Principal Lanier reported that we had some good calls about attendance and some folks maybe not understanding that perhaps the child hadn't been in school as often as they thought. But it's really good, and it's early. And our goal is to keep that communication open and often, and that parents, again, have these venues to talk with classroom teachers about. And just to follow up with that, this is a snapshot in time. It's not a quarterly report. It's not a midterm. This is the information about where your child is right now at this point in the quarter. So that's that. And then last on my list is I'm going to ask Mr. Conrad to give a very brief update regarding lead testing. The committee had some dialogue regarding lead testing this summer, and I thought it would be a propitious time to come back and share with you an update about where we are.
Thank you. So we've completed the next step in the process, which is to do a more rigorous testing of those faucets that showed elevated lead levels. In about 25% of the cases, they actually came back negative, and under the state protocol, you can then take those out of service. I think for some of those faucets, the issue may be we were testing faucets that hadn't been running literally years, that were just not used. For the remaining faucets, we moved forward with repairing all kitchen faucets that were found with elevated lead levels, and we'll be ready to test those soon, retest those. What we're finding as we look at different schools is in some cases we can actually take the faucets out of service. For example, the janitor's closet in the basement of East Auburn that hasn't been used in years will be taken out of service and capped off. We have bubblers attached to sinks in hallways in a school where they've more recently installed a bottle filling station and they're not using that, so they'll just cap off the bubbler. In other cases, we will want to repair those faucets. So we've walked through about a third of our schools with our mechanical services company, Nason Mechanical, who serves as our plumber, to create an action plan. And by the end of October, we should be finished walking through the remaining schools with the principals so they can be part of the process of determining what we're going to do with each faucet. And then we'll schedule time for them to come in and remediate, make the repairs, which will likely go on throughout the school year because many of those faucets are in classrooms, so they'll have to utilize school vacation times. I would just note we have made the offer to principals if they feel students or staff don't have sufficient access to faucets that are in service, they can request bottled water, but to this point in time, we haven't received any requests.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Mark regarding, or Dr. Brown regarding that update?
I do have a question for Dr. Brown. As far as the parent-teacher conference, we have different languages in the community, and how are we approaching that? Are we asking students to come with their parents so that they are able to translate, or how are we kind of attacking that issue?
It's a great question. And so Melissa Hodgkin, who is our ELL coordinator throughout the district, has been in touch with families and asked them if they need help with their parent-teacher conferences. And we have a list of interpreters available, as well as some technological services that we can employ to help with those conferences. Great. So it's a strategic preemptive strike to see if we need to offer that. So we're in the process of doing it now.
Excellent, thank you.
I will just add on to that just a little bit. When you put it on websites and stuff, there is a tab on our website that you can actually change the language on our website. Yep, it's always been there. I think none of us have just really needed it, but there is a tab there to completely change the language on our website. So that
love
should be
the new
helpful.
website.
Yes, that should be helpful as well. All right, school committee chairperson's report, and on this evening, other than to just say that we did receive a thank you letter from Brian Dubois, who thanked us for working with policy and enabling them to do the fundraising they were looking to do. So that supported them as well. All right, city council update, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, really.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to comment. I actually went to the Yale football game that night. I think it was Wednesday night or one of the, and the new pamphlet, new book is phenomenal. Like they did a really good job on that, very quick, but it looks very nice. So they were ready to go as soon as we approved. Like I said, I think that game was Friday night, and they were ready to go. So it did look really nice. So
Good, thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, city council update?
Yeah, just a follow-up from last meeting when I announced the mayor's ad hoc committee for architectural styles, archetypes, or buildings. Gabe Desperado, I'm glad he's not here to hear me butcher his last name, did apply. He has been appointed. The applications are online, so if there's any other students or teachers, admin, employees, what have you, that would like to sign up, please do so, because we'd like to launch in about 4 weeks. So looking forward to having Gabe on the committee.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Mayor? All right, seeing none. Committee reports. I don't believe we have curriculum just met. Fundraising, we've just seen your update, Pam and Pat, so I think we're good on committee reports, unless I'm missing something. All right, seeing nothing.
I want to say something about the fundraising. I'm so
Sure.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
If you look at our website, we've been doing some work, Tanya, Mark, and I have been doing some work on making it a lot easier to donate. And we've put out a sheet where you can print it out, send it in, fill it out, send it in if you'd like to donate. But we've made it a lot easier. Thankfully, this new website has made it a lot easier to do a lot of things, but we have worked on that. So if anybody is interested in fundraising, the legacy sheet is on there as far as what naming rights you can buy. And so you can go out and donate.
Okay, awesome, thank you, Pam. All right, moving on to old business. First item on the agenda under old business is a motion. So I entertain a motion for second read and approval of policy AUB-JJE student fundraising activities. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you, Brett. Brian, am I okay to put you first? Pam, am I okay to second?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, comments, debate on that one? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Second motion is a second read and approval of policy AUB-JJE-E fundraising activities plan. Can I entertain a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Can I have a second? Thank you, Pat. Questions, comments on that one? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. All those in favor? Motion passes. Next is a second reading and approval of policy AUB-DD grants. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Can I have a
Second.
I think I heard Pam over here. Questions, comments on that?
I have one question.
Yep.
I was not at the policy meeting when this was originally discussed, but I'm just curious as to why under the teacher, under individual teachers, mini grants, why there's a $5,000 cap, if that's arbitrary or if that's
In
related
statute?
to a fiscal reason.
Is that why it's called a mini grant?
I don't think it's a cap on what they can request. I think it's the limit at which it has to require further approval from the school committee.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Any other questions? All right, seeing no other questions or comments, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is a second reading and approval of a policy AUB-DFF student activities fund. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. Any other questions, comments on this one? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is a second reading and approval of policy AUB-DIDA of fixed assets. Can I entertain a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Can I have a second?
Second.
I think it came from here. Pat, was that you? Was that you, Pat? Okay, thank you, Pat. Questions, comments on that one? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Next is the second reading and approval of policy AUB-DIE, audits and financial monitoring. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Pam, you want a second?
Sure.
Okay, any question, Pam Hart, second. Any questions, comments on that one? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Next one, second reading and approval of policy AUB-DJE, petty cash accounts. Can I entertain a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. Questions, comments, debate on that one? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is a motion for second reading approval of policy AUB-DJH, purchasing and contracting procurement staff code of conduct. Do you have a motion, please?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. Any questions, comments on that one? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? All right, with that one. All right, before I call for this next motion, just a little bit of information. This is the delegation that I have spoken to you about in August and again in September. This is, we need to elect a delegate to the Maine School Board Assembly from the Auburn School Committee. So right now we will move to elect a delegate, and you can so name the delegate if you would like to make the motion to move the delegate. So with that in mind, can I entertain a motion to elect a delegate to the Maine School Board Delegate Assembly from the Auburn School Committee?
So moved.
Thank you. I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All right, let's do comment on this one. Who are we presenting?
You're looking for nominations?
So I have been asking for people to volunteer for this, and now we're at the point where you need to name someone. I have done it.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Clarissa Perez. You have a motion on the floor.
I do, so I'm going to follow Robert's rules and say, do I have a second? I'm going to close it real fast.
Make a motion to
that one,
nominate
motion
Karen
fails.
Matthew for the delegate to the Maine School Board.
Yeah, and does Brian have a second? Second. Yeah, thank you. It's 3 years in a row, might as well do it 3 years in a row. Any questions, comments on that one?
I just want to send you to see your friends.
Oh, thank you so much. All those in favor? I'm keeping my hand down on that one. Fine, now here comes my fun part. Now, so that was approved, a motion to elect an alternate delegate to the Maine School, just in case I can't make it that day. Motion to elect an alternate delegate to the Maine School Board Delegate Assembly from the Auburn School Committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I nominate Brian. Motion to nominate Brian as an alternate. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? So let's close the motion to elect an alternate, which is Brian Belknap. All those in favor? Yay. Okay, thank you all. All right, so we have our delegates. It is virtual. It's Saturday, October 22nd, 9:30 in the morning. I knew I would have to attend, so I blocked my time for that. All right, under new business, motion to elect Dr. Cornelia Brown as the superintendent of the Auburn School Department for the period beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
everyone wants to jump in. Pat, I'll put you as moved. Pam, I'll put you as second. Questions, comments on that one? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor to elect Dr. Brown for another 3 years? Unanimous, Dr. Brown.
Thank you very
This-
much.
Thank you very much. All right, we do have the contract, Dr. Brown. We will give you this is your paper copy of the contract, so you can take a look through it, make sure there are no spelling mistakes, and you and I will sign that in due time. All right, next item on the agenda is a motion to approve first reading of the Auburn School Committee goals. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Brian, second. Questions, comments, debate on that one?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to add to the Auburn School Committee goals the goal of doubling the amount of available dual enrollment or college credit courses, either on or off campus, over the next 2 years.
Okay, double the enrollment of dual enrollment, essentially, if I'm just trying to get it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Double the enrollment of dual
double the number of college credits earned through dual enrollment or AP or other I had to write the first time, Karen.
You didn't write it down?
Yeah, I did.
Read it again.
I should just read it.
Right?
Double the availability of dual enrollment credits earned either on or off campus over the next 24 months.
Okay. So there's a new motion on, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, Brian will second it. All right, let's open it up to questions, comments, and debate on that one.
I guess my question would be whether or not that's feasible.
My question would be, is it needed?
Let me,
Is it
since I brought up the
feasible?
motion, and let me try to answer both those questions if I could, if the chair is okay with that. Is it feasible? It's feasible. There's a lot of other high schools throughout the state and throughout the country that are providing more than half of their kids the ability to graduate high school with an associate's degree or the equivalent college credits of 60. So the state has a process that pays for a lot of this. We are already doing it as a high school. We're doing it very successful. Actually, Mary Beth Galway did a quick financial analysis saying that just last year alone, our high school kids took enough college preparatory classes to equivalent about $380,000 worth of college expenses to eliminate that from their future debt load and that of their parents. And that's just one thing. So it is doable. Is it needed? Well, studies show that once someone achieves a post-secondary degree, even some college, that their earning potential is much greater than just that of a high school diploma. And having the ability to provide our students, all of our students, the ability to actually earn college credits while still in high school and graduate, I think is a positive, and it's been shown to work in many other communities.
Okay, so Dr. Brown, I'll turn the question to you. The question's asked, is it feasible and is it needed?
Can I ask Principal Neera to come on up to join the discussion, if I might?
Sure.
Because I don't want to misspeak in terms of what we currently offer. During the last dual enrollment committee meeting, we had staff attend, and they talked about the current programs, including the Bridge program, the Early College for Me program, the dual enrollment program. We do have policy, which is, Sue and I have talked about this, that is limiting in a way regarding what we currently offer. So Scott, to the question of is it feasible, that would mean we would need to expand the number of staff that offered dual enrollment courses. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. If we were to offer the dual enrollment courses in the building, which tends to be one of the more popular pathways for access to that, those staff members have to be vetted by whatever post-secondary institution that they are affiliated with. So I can't just take this English teacher and offer a dual enrollment class. They have to be vetted and provide the curriculum as generated by the post-secondary institution. We see that with Central Maine Community College or with our AP classes that are affiliated with Fort Kent, some of our art classes that are affiliated with UMA. So it's a couple different steps. They have to be vetted, and then they need to make sure that they're aligned curriculum-wise and either adopt it or align it to what they're currently offering.
Thank you. Could I was trying to write the motion as you were saying it. So it was to double the availability of dual enrollment credits, is that?
I think I got it. Of college credits earned through dual enrollment programs on or off campus.
Dual enrollment, thank you.
Do you have a question, Pam?
Yes, so I guess I'm a little confused because we had a workshop and we discussed this, and as a committee, we decided not to use that as a goal because we already had we already were in the process of doing exactly that. We have dual enrollment, we have schools, Syracuse University, Fort Kent, AMA, Central Maine Community College is already involved in helping our students get college credits. I know of a handful of students personally who've gotten an associate's degree while going to Edward Little because they ended up going to Central Maine Community College the last year or so of their high school career. So I guess I'm just perplexed as why we're bringing this back up when I thought we had discussed it before and we had elected not to make it a goal.
Yes, go ahead, Pat.
I'm a little concerned about the timing, not the validity of the proposal, but we have a new high school coming on board in about 10 months. And there are over 10 CTE courses that have been embedded into that high school, both physically and academically. And I would like to see how many of our students actually take advantage of that before we send them out. And the only reason I feel comfortable doing that is because Scott has already made sure the kids who need to go or want to go to CM or other places are already doing that. So it's kind of a timing thing for me. I don't want to see competition against our own school within a school, and just my thoughts.
If I could just comment on that too, if we're entering into a little debate on this. And I did say over the next 24 months, okay, to allot some time for moving into the new high school. But goals are just that, they're goals. They're reaching, they're challenging. And I do believe that our community, our students, our region would be better served if we expanded the ability for our students to earn that associate's degree equivalent of college credits while they're still in high school. We right now, Lewiston, Auburn, Androscoggin County has one of the lowest levels of post-secondary educational achievement in the state of Maine. And it's an economic detractor for our region. It's preventing us from growing. It's preventing us from creating generational wealth and being economically sustainable. And it's not for our generations, for the next generation. So if we have the ability to do so, and we can explore it, and we can start increasing that. And that's going to take a little bit of work. The co-curriculum committee needs to be, not co-curriculum, sorry, the dual enrollment committee needs to meet a little bit more and present to the school board. But conceptually, if you believe in post-secondary education, and you believe in giving all of our students the ability to achieve something that they normally might not be able to, then I would encourage all of you to vote for this.
Brian?
Just a logistical question with the motion. The motion to add a brand new goal, so number 4, or is it another bullet under student outcomes?
I'm going to put that back to Jason.
It was a motion to add a 4th bullet.
It's a 4th bullet.
To add a brand new 4th goal. Okay.
That's the way I understood it, a brand new 4th
No, I just wanted to make sure I
Okay.
had it clear whether it was included as part
Pam?
of it.
Well, I don't disagree with, enabling students to be able to have the opportunity to go to college and get college credits while they're in school. I mean, I personally encourage my own kids to take AP classes and to take college credits. But my other concern too is that not every child wants to go to college, and that's okay. Like, some want to be plumbers, some want to be electricians. They may not really be into getting dual enrollment in that aspect as far as.
And with all due respect, I just don't think when plumbers and electricians and trades, if I go back to the city council resolution, encouraging both that as a trade certificate as well. All those trades too need to have, effective communication skills. And that's where some good high rigor academic courses, dual enrollment courses can come in very handy. Easily transferable out to Central Maine Community College post-fac, so they don't have to take those electives but at post-graduation, but they can focus in on their trades and focus in on their certificate achievement. Again, there's a lot that plays into it. It's not just about kids who don't necessarily want to go to college. It's about helping them understand and having the ability, the possibility, the likelihood, and the opportunities here in this environment.
Okay, are we not doing that already? That's my question. Like, is this?
This is to double the amount that's available for our students.
Double what's available right now.
We're already doing it because we already see it as important.
So I'm going to come back to the feasibility question. Right now, as a school committee member sitting here, I don't feel that I have the depth of knowledge through which to say, yes, this is absolutely feasible. I think the ad hoc committee, the dual enrollment ad hoc committee, needs to come to here to show us that they have the ability to expand to support that type of a goal. I will say that personally, I want more information. I am not in a position where I want to ask more of teachers. And what is the financial impact now on needing to train these teachers? How does that impact the budget? And I echo everyone else here. I thoroughly believe in offering kiddos as much as we can, but it has to be feasible, it has to be sustainable, and it has to be doable. A goal in 24 months, I'm not sure, because I'd like to hear from the ad hoc committee. Is this, the dual ad hoc committee, is this doable?
Add on to that, Karen, I'd also want to understand, I'd also not want to place any sort of undue burden on Scott and his staff in terms of trying to get more teachers on board to be vetted in that time period, especially when we're moving into a brand new building and all of everything that comes with that.
And I think that's to Pat's comment. Let's that sort of personally for me right there, I don't feel I have enough information to say absolutely. Do I think it's important? Absolutely. Do I think it's attainable? I don't know. Do I think we have it in the budget to be able to meet this goal? I don't know. We haven't budgeted for something like that, for all this training that will need to happen. So that is in the forefront of my mind. So with that, I'll take some closing comments on this motion. Pat?
I think, Jason, for me, it would be better to put this off. I know that's discouraging to you, but I'm looking at Scott, I'm looking at the building, I'm looking at trying to get into it, I'm looking at also the goals that we've already put up. The master plan for facilities is a huge goal, and it's going to take an awful lot of work. So if we could be patient and let's finish what we've already started doing, and then relook at this again. And as I stated before, we're already doing this to a certain extent. And I don't want to do, as Pam said, burden anybody more than we have to in the next 24 months.
Yeah.
And you know what, everybody's comments, in my opinion, are absolutely spot on. I mean, agreed. Yeah, there's more information. I've noticed in my 5 years of municipal service, though, without achieving goals, well, setting forth goals, even if you don't know whether or not they're achievable. And I'm going to use, this is going to sound cheesy, but I think in 1962, John F. Kennedy said, we will go to the moon in this decade. Nobody knew how. I think we didn't even go to space at that point. I have my years messed up. But we did go to the moon. That was a goal, okay? And that is why the term moonshot is used a lot in venture capitals and startups, because it's a moonshot. And I know, and with the utmost respect to the faculty administration, we have many years under our belt, you know, Mr. Rainier and so forth. Our students don't have the privilege of waiting. I can't tell our juniors and sophomores and freshmen to hold off for a couple of years and just kind of stay in limbo for this to happen. I always think about the students, and I believe that's the school committee's job, is to look at the student outcome and setting goals and figuring out if we can achieve them, even if we don't think so or we have doubt today, is part of our job to be forward thinking. And I believe the students deserve that goal setting, whether or not they know they need it or not right now. I think that's important because they can't wait. They are their clock does not stop running.
When I set a goal, I want to make sure it's achievable, and right now, I'm not hearing feasible financially, professionally development-wise, building-wise, so that's where I'm sitting right there. So any other last comments right now before I call for a vote? Brian?
Yeah, I love this goal. I also love the goal in the workshop. I agree with the goal. While I sit here and I agree with you that, do we have all the information? No. But it's another opportunity. And it's pushing the envelope. And even if we don't double it in 24 months, if we only get half of that doubling, that's moving it forward. So I think it's an audacious goal. Is it achievable? I don't know. But, the big, hairy, audacious goals are, did we ever think that we were going to get a 17% increase in graduation rates? Can we all sit here and say that? I don't think we can. Are we going to hit 95% in 2 years? Maybe, maybe not. But that's a pretty audacious goal. Meeting state standards. We've set some pretty high goals. So, and again, I sat here and as I left that workshop the other day, I was kind of in disagreement with it at first, and I'm thinking, because I was thinking, back when I was in school, it was great. You just wanted to go to school, but now it's a financial investment. We're giving these kids an opportunity for those that want to graduate with an associate's degree. The savings is instrumental now, and it's all financial. So
we already.
And
again,
no one here's disagreeing with that.
I think it should be a goal. I think there should be a plan done to figure out the feasibility, and because again, it's a goal. We can adjust the goals. There's nothing stopping us from adjusting it. Maybe we look at the feasibility. Maybe we look at it and say we're going to double it right now. We look at the feasibility study and say, well, doubling it's too much. But if we don't put it down as a goal, it's not going to happen. or it's not going to even move it forward. So I like the goal. I think it should be a goal. Whether we add it now, whether we add it in 2 months, I think there should be this study done to figure out how feasible it is and how do we do it.
Can I ask you a question? Is it already a goal of the dual enrollment committee to increase the number of dual enrollment courses available?
To reduce the barriers that allowing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but reduce the barriers and create the opportunities for those courses to be taken. It is. All right, Dan?
Do we have any data that we turn away people that want to do that? Or do we know people that can't take advantage of that?
That would be a school question, school department.
I mean, because if we're not turning away people, then how do we know that they want to sign up? Because it's voluntary.
Scott, do we turn anybody away?
Not as long as prerequisites have been met. So the answer is no. There isn't a cap to say we can only take 3 into this slot. We always enroll based on student interest and requests.
Okay. All right. Sure.
So I guess I agree that it's a great goal, and I understand the concept of the goal. I just also don't want to set us up for failure, and I would like more information, like you said, in order to make the right decision. I mean, I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to do this. It's a goal. It's a lofty goal, but we're already having issues with staffing. We already don't have enough staffing in our school system. So now we're going to have to take staffing away from where they already are in order to train.
I think that's the piece of the
Yeah,
board.
I mean, we shouldn't run through these assumptions.
Well, so that's
but
why
it's a
we need
goal.
more
It's-
information.
No, you're missing, and I'm going to ask to call a vote because it's circular.
I am
If you
gonna call a
achieve if you believe in the intent, that's the definition of a goal. That's
Okay,
all
so-
we're asking here. If the school committee agrees on the intent that it's a worthwhile thing to do, regardless of the roadblocks or the challenges, then that's what we can look at. And again, as Mr. Belknap said, you can adjust later on if it's unfeasible.
I'd like to make a motion to table this discussion until we have further information from the dual enrollment committee.
Pam has so moved. Questions, comments, debate on that motion. I'm going to call for it. All those in favor to table the motion? I vote to table the motion.
For further information, yes.
And Jason's motion has been tabled pending further information.
So that's tabled to a date certain or tabled based upon more
Tabled, so when I
information?
come down to future agenda items or requests for information, I'd like that information presented to us so that we can make decisions based on facts and not based on, well, we think so's and lofty goals. To know me well as I want to make a decision based on feasibility. And not a pie in the sky kind of a dream. So that, your motion has been tabled for further information, which it is not tabled
Officially, it's
indefinitely.
pie in the sky then? I just wanted the record to show that having kids achieve more college credits in high school is pie in the sky.
It is not pie in the sky. You absolutely knew what thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to go back to the motion of the school committee goals being to approve the first reading of the Auburn School Committee goals, which we have a first and a second, so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the first reading of the Auburn School Committee goals? Oh, motion passes. Thank you. All right. Last is a move to support the MSBA proposed resolution revisions and additions as written. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Pam. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pat. Questions, comments, debate on the resolutions that I will be presenting? Nope, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
I have a question. These resolutions, these are ones from us that you're going to be making?
No, these are
from the
Maine
MS
School
Okay.
Management. Yes, these are not from us. All
Okay.
right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. Upcoming meetings, October 13th, Finance. October 17th is the fundraising. October 17th is a special school committee meeting, which will be upstairs, 4th floor conference on October 17th. The 19th is DEI, as well as regular school committee. 25th is policy. 2nd is curriculum, as well as a regular school committee meeting. And I would say, Dr. Brown, info on the dual enrollment committee so that we have facts to base these motions on. Can you give me an idea of when the dual enrollment committee might be able to come and present?
The committee's next meeting is October 19th.
So would the December meeting, December 1st, be a meeting that they could come and give more information on?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
Can I
we
ask a
will,
question?
yes.
Who's on this committee?
Who represents on the committee, other than Dr. Brown, Mayor Levesque,
Mary Beth Galway,
Mary Beth Galway, Scott Anier,
Counselor Moran, we have Andrew's last name from CMMC is Medor.
CMC, Central Maine
Wrong,
Community
thank you.
College.
Yes,
Okay,
and that's the group.
okay, all right. Any other future agenda items or requests for information? All right, seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion passes.
Oh, it's not. It's not school committee. A school committee. Okay. It's not ours. Oh. It's the one. Using what? Our superintendent, taking her time in order to do this, in order to push his agenda. Yes. So that's a little.
Yep.
Do you have a moment to chat?
Yeah,
I've like snuck up behind you.
Sure.
I'd love to hear from Finance Committee Rachel on this really awesome donation.
Well, I'm not on the finance
Oh
committee.
wait, you were the one who was working with this.